Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another Friday Night Live. I am your host, Dr. A.D. Burns, and this is my co-host, Brother Minister Chief James Jones. How you doing, Brother Jones?
Oh yeah, I'm always doing good, Pastor. Always doing
You
good.
enjoying this Wisconsin warm weather?
Yeah. Wisconsin got like -20 the weather, so it's so. So if you're trying to ice ball somebody instead of play
Uh,
snowball, this be the weather to do it in. So yes.
well, listen, welcome to another Friday Night Live. We are excited again to be with you this evening. And James, he's going to do his, he gonna greet his peoples, our peoples.
Oh yeah. Like all things. Hello everyone, and good evening to all my grinders. Oh yeah, let's go get it.
So we talk about a grinder. What's a grinder?
A grinder is a person who is determined and persistent to get the job done. So they're willing to go with the highs and the lows in order to facilitate as well as to accomplish that and what they desire to do.
Okay, all right, all right. So that's a grinder, and so
Oh yeah.
grinding is important because no matter what you put your heart to do, whether it's just working a regular job, whether it's being an entrepreneur, whether it's both, they all takes a grind. If you're gonna profit from it, am I right?
Yes, yes.
And so, being a grinder is what you want to be. And in order to be a grinder, you have to be willing to eliminate some things in your life. You know,
Mhm.
less TV, less social media. You have to be able to take that time and put it into your grind. I think I like that. Take that time and put it in your grind. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so we've been involved on this Financial Friday. I think I said Friday Night Live in the opening because it is live on Friday night. But on this Financial Friday, we started a 90-day challenge and we are in week 7. We are in
Yes.
week 7 of our 90-day challenge. And so in the coming days, we're going to be releasing our book that James and I partnered together to write, The Road to Six Figures. The Road to Six Figures.
Yes,
And
yes.
so we're getting those who want to get on the road to six figures with us. We want to get you in this is our boot camp. You know, we want to get you in shape for the
Yeah.
journey. And so to do that, we started the 90-day challenge. So just about every week, somebody asked me about the 90-day challenge book. That's not the book, The Road to Six Figures. That's the 90-day challenge. And after we finish with the 90-day challenge, we'll be starting on the road to six figures. But the 90-day challenge is full of different types of habits that you have to have if you want to build wealth. You know, if you just start having money pour into your life and you don't change some of your habits, your hangups that you have, that money just come in and go right out. Would you say I'm right about that, James?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Bad habits always produce bad results.
yeah,
No one stumbles across being rich. And even on your best day, those who are rich but they didn't work for it and they don't have the discipline to keep it, they oftentimes lose it.
yeah, yeah. That's why they say most of your majority of your lottery winners go broke and usually they're in worse shape afterwards after they win the lottery. You know, did you know that?
Yeah, yeah, I got told that too.
Yeah, and that's probably just because of what you just said, you know, because it takes discipline and purpose and intentionality, you know, when it comes to building wealth. And so this is our 7th week, and our 7th and 8th week, we're going to be talking about savings and investing. We're going to cover the power of compound interest. We're going to cover creating high yield savings plan, and I believe James is going to show us some what the real time saving plan he
Yeah.
started. So he'll be sharing that with us, and then the basis of investing and setting financial milestones. And so tonight we want to start off with the basis of investing, the basic of investing and some financial milestones. So let's start off with this investing. You know my testimony. I shared it before that I had lost uh, you know $25,000. I don't know if I ever said the amount, but it was $25,000 I had invested in Morgan Stanley, and the stocks are the world was going a different way. And I asked the guy, should I pull it out? And he kept saying, no, leave it in, leave it in. It's gonna come back up. It's gonna come back up. And it just kept going down, 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 down. He kept telling. I think to the time it was nothing hardly in there. He was still talking about it's gonna come back up. And so I had lost that money, and as a result of that, I never was interested in investing after that. I was kind of gun shy when it came to came to investing. And you can imagine losing that kind of money, that can leave a bitter taste in your mouth. And so, since we've been doing Financial Fridays, I've learned some things about investing. Investing is not a set it and forget it. I think when we talked about budgeting, you said, James, how often should you check your accounts?
For the average person, well, at least once a week.
Okay.
For those who are very inclined to get things done every single day, every other day.
Yeah. And so then when we talk about investing, it's not a set it and forget it. Get it. You just put it in there and go on about your business. You got to watch it, and you have to develop interests of the market so that you could be able to keep an eye on things and learn there are some things to watch out for. When news reports come out, they tell me that's a time to watch because that's going to affect the stock. And so there's different things like that. So tonight we want to talk about some basics, when it comes to investing. And James, I'm gonna throw you the ball on that one.
Oh yeah, I got tons for everybody. So the basics of investing is that you're putting your money aside into an instrument to make money over time. That is the basics of investing. But here goes some caveats. But the first caveat, so make sure everybody taking notes when y'all hear me say this, is that just like you assign your money, everything you put your money into, you need to make sure you're monitoring it. Because if you believe that once you set it, you forget it, remember, when it comes to stocks, mutual funds, dividends, checks, those things have a risk associated with it. You can make a lot of money, but you also can lose a lot of money because there's highs and lows. It's different from bonds and savings accounts or high yielding savings accounts, where the money is for the most part guaranteed based on the financial institution you're putting your money into. When it comes to stocks, just because you give your money to a bank or to a financial institution that is housing that that money, that doesn't mean that the money is safe. So that's the difference. You have the potential to make 10, 12, some even make 20, some make beyond that. But you also have the potential to lose 10 to 20, the 20 times your amount, and you can completely get bottomed out. So I'm telling you that the basics of investing is to know what your risk tolerance is and also know how active you will be. If you're a person who will watch their account every single day, then you could be more risky. If you're a person who choose not to watch your account every day, every other day, then you may want to go with a more structured or a more risk enabled or risk reduced investment. One of the biggest things that people tend to do that get themselves in a lot more trouble is that they try to go with the market trend. Whatever the market is out, that's what they're trying to push all their money into. However, one of the key figures in stocks, not mutual funds, but in stocks, buying and sharing stocks, his name was Warren Buffett. And his philosophy was invest in what you know, invest in what you use. So I tell a lot of people this. I like to invest in things that I like. So to me, Walmart is a good investment because when the market is high, people go to Walmart. When the market is low, people also go to Walmart. It's not that Walmart has an innate ability to always increase. It's just if I shop at Walmart, Walmart is where I am going to invest in. Some people like drinking monster drinks. So if you drink monster drinks oftentimes, I'm going to tell you the best investment for you to start in is to invest in Monster because Monster is what you drink constantly. So you're a representation of what you're drinking. And by doing that, you are a lot more tied in to that and what you're drinking, as well as the company in which you are supporting. Because at the end of the day, every stock you buy is a share. Every share is a share of ownership towards a corporation. So once you understand that, you know what you're doing. You want to buy shares in a company that you're already invested in. If you buy Kellogg's Corn Flakes, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, Kellogg's Fruit Loops, uh, or General Mills Lucky Charm, General Mills Honey Nut Cheerios, General Mills regular Cheerios, it may seem important for you to invest in Kellogg's, or it may be important for you to invest in General Mills. If you like Facebook and you like what Twitter, no, not Facebook, it's Facebook, Instagram, they're all under one umbrella. But then you may want to invest in Facebook. If and the reason why you invest in those things is because by utilizing that in what you invest in, that you know you have at least one customer. Because that one customer is you. If you invest in things that you are not familiar with, if you invest in things in which you are not tracking, unfortunately, you put yourself at a greater risk because you don't know what that company is doing and you don't know the variables that may make or hinder that company. But by investing in things that you see, like McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's, right? You see these items out there and you can see if the lines are busy or not busy. That gives you more leverage or more understanding of what you're investing in. But the truth of the matter is that the reason why we are investing. So we're investing to make money.
Mm-hmm.
No one invests in order to lose money. We're all investing to make money. So let's make money. When you invest, you want to seek out something that is positive and making money. Now, there's a lot of different options for people to utilize, but the basics are always true. Invest what you can afford to lose. Invest when the price is predicted to go up. Pull your money out when the price is predicted to go under. By following these simple rules, you can greatly reduce your risk tolerance about if the market is going to crash or rise exponentially.
All right. Let's see if we can chop some of that up to digest some of that. That was quite a bit, and
Oh,
it makes sense. And so, you're saying as a rule of thumb that you want to invest in things that you've already participated in, or things that where you're spending your money at already.
yeah.
And so when you talk about, and by the way, we're not getting no sponsor money from those companies you name. Uh,
Oh,
Not yet, anyway. But but you wanna the places where you spend your money at is where you want to invest your money. All right.
yeah,
And so you're saying that even though you invest it, you still want to watch it, you still want to follow it, you still want to track it. And so you don't have to become, like you have a guy that loves sports and he just watches sports back to back. Well, you don't have to become a financial guru to the degree that you have to always be watching the stocks, but
yeah,
you want to be aware of where what that particular stock is doing, right? And
yes,
and so going beyond that, then you said that um, you can invest in things that are positive, you know.
Yeah.
And so those things may or may not be things that you're spending where you're spending your money at, but those are things that are to some degree making money. And
Yes.
so, in that same sense, you're saying that you still want to watch where you're spending, and you're not investing more than you can afford to lose. And
Yes.
so, in the back of your mind, or how wherever you would put that thought at, that if you lose it, you'll still be all right. Then you want to make sure that you're walking in that principle, because even though for me, and I'm not saying that Morgan Stanley is a bad company, they're a good company. They're just like any other company, I should say. I don't know if I can say, good or bad. Really, I don't have an opinion one way, because during that time, a lot of people lost money in the market, and so it really wasn't about where you had your money as much as were you watching your money, because ultimately it was my call to pull it out or to trust them and leave it in. And so I don't know if that was, greed on my part that, I was like, but the point is, you don't want to invest no more than you can afford to lose. You don't want to take everything that you have and put it into a system like that. And if something happened, then you're wiped out. Now, even though I had, you know, an attitude about losing the money, thanks be to God, that was not, you know, uh, that was money. I don't know if you can say you can afford to lose any of it, but at that particular time in my life, we were still okay. So that wasn't everything that we had. But the point is, you want to make sure that you're not overextending yourself and, you know, uh, investing with money that you can't afford to lose. All right. How did I sum that up?
Yeah. You sound you're making sense to me,
Okay.
because what we don't want somebody to do is, one, stocks and bonds is not a Russian roulette table where you put all your money down and they spin the wheel and you just like, I hope, I hope, I hope, I hope. No, you don't have to do that, because this isn't Russian roulette. And the biggest thing of what you were saying was, what can you afford to lose? Because that was something that was really hitting home to me. Because if you have a rent check, and somebody that you know or don't know is telling you this stock is going to hit and it's going to be this humongous stock, right? The problem that people run into is that if that person never hit a stock, or he never picked a person, or she never picked the right stock to hit, the likelihood of them picking one out of almost 2,000 plus stocks, that one stock is going to hit and double all your money. If you put your hard earned money in it, the likelihood is, unfortunately, is less than likely.
Mhm.
It's not to say that they can't. It's just that too oftentimes we allow our, some people it's greed. Some people it's, you allow the burning sensation of not making it to be a fear that throws your money into a pot.
Okay.
What we want, what we want. I mean, both of us. We want you to understand that you don't have to do that. If you get your tax return check back, and somebody who you don't know or somebody that you do know is saying, "Hey, I got this really good idea," that's just what it is, an idea. If you was to say, "Hey, I got a company and they're looking to expand," you could buy shares in a company. There are companies out there that has historically good numbers, and they have currently good numbers.
Okay.
Historically, it's typically 3 to 5 years, and currently, it's typically less than a year, up to 24 months. So currently, they have good numbers, and historically, they have good numbers. Well, then that would be, to me, that would be a sound investment or a safe investment for money. But I do want to let people know, as safe as an investment could be, you can still lose money, because it is a risk associated with stocks. There is a risk associated with that, to the degree that, even though it may look good, it doesn't mean that you will make money off of it. It may go down The day you put it in, the whole thing may go up. You may put money in on this day, it drops down, and then it recovers. Well, you still lost money, and then it recovers, and you're hoping to recover that money, but more likely than not, you're not going to recover the full amount,
Mhm.
unless it bounces back more than where it was previously. So we want to make sure that that's why I'm telling you to watch it on a weekly basis if you're not a guru and you're not going to be making money moves.
Mhm.
But there are people who will do that. So if this is going to be your hobby and something in which you will strive on doing, then my suggestion is start off with money that you can't afford to lose, but make it something that you check every single day because the market changes hour by hour, minute by minute. It's not. It doesn't take 1 2 days. That market changes hands, where it changes options or
Mhm.
opportunities almost every single minute. It has the potential to change. So that's the reason why knowing the market is one thing, and then growing in the market is another.
Okay. So now, where when we talk about looking for these stocks, other than the places where you shop at, like the different stores where you shop at, where do you go to invest in them stocks? So if I got this store that I shop at, and now I want to make an investment in that store, where do I find their stock at?
I think the easiest one to do is Google. The reason, and I think that became more of a term that we all use synonymously for just searching it.
Hmm.
So if you go to Barnes and Noble, and you're like, "Hey, I like Barnes and Noble. I just want to go." Type in Barnes and Noble and see if they have a stock option. If they have stock option, they're going to tell you the 3 or 4 character listing for that store.
Hmm.
If you say, "Hey, I like Michaels," and then it tells you is it trading on the Nasdaq, the SP 500, where it's trading at, and then it would tell you what is the start to buy a one full share. The
So
good news, the good news is that we do have other entities out there that you can buy a partial share. So there are apps out there where you can buy a partial share of a stock.
okay, so let's say let me see. I might be messing up here, but let's see. Um, you see home task. Okay, so let's see if I can do this. So you see me right there.
Yes, I see you.
So then I put in Walmart stock, right?
Yes.
And so now where do I go from there?
Now you want to now to buy Walmart. What you're gonna have to do is Walmart stock trade. It trades on the New York Stock Exchange. So if you go to the top of it, is Walmart Inc. The
Oh,
NYSE
right
is the
here.
New York Stock Exchange.
Oh,
Yes,
right here. Okay.
that's the New York Stock Exchange, and your characters for Walmart is WMT.
Okay, so that's they code like
Yes.
when you say carrot. So now what do I do from here?
So you can literally go to. I'm gonna give out a couple of sources. So you can go to Charles Schwab, Bank of America, Chase Investments. I don't know any credit unions as of right now, but you can go there and then you can
Bank
go
of
to
America
their
stock.
bank. Yeah, because you got Bank of America Investments.
Okay, now I'm at Bank of America stock.
Now remember, what you're showing is where to get it. Like that's another Bank of America is another New
What,
York
what,
Stock
let's,
Exchange.
let's act like we buying it. So what do we do to
Oh,
buy it?
you gotta have an entity that buys the shares directly.
And what would that
So
be?
you can go to Charles Schwab.
Hmm.
They have a stock buying. You can go to it's one called Robinhood. It's an app. So if you type in Robinhood or Charles Schwab, I think Robinhood is the one that everybody knows, and they call it the stock app.
You said stock app.
Yeah, there you go. So you go down. This is invest with Robinhood in stocks and
right here.
invest with Robinhood. Yes.
Okay, so that's and then now what was the Walmart sign? Oh, so
WMC.
you have to get an account then, right?
Yes.
So we
Because
wouldn't be
remember, yeah, you're gonna have to get an account because you deal with real money and
okay.
everything is real time.
So I wouldn't be able to go on here and see what a share of Walmart was is.
Oh no, it tells you. So if you go back to Walmart, it tells you what the cost of each Walmart stock is
But in
currently.
order to get into Robinhood to buy the stock, I have to set up an account.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All
Because
right.
they're gonna need access to your money in order to do it.
Okay. All right. Okay. And so you said Robinhood, you said Charles Schwab.
Yeah, Charles Schwab has an app called, I believe it's called Street Smart.
Okay. And they're pretty much all the same.
Yeah. What I like about Street Smart is that it gives you real time data, so you can literally go on there and run around. The problem with Charles Schwab, well, I shouldn't say the problem. I like the Street Smart app. The thing is, it's not for a novice. So if you don't know
So,
what you're doing, you
so
can.
this one right here say Charles Schwab account pricing. Is this the one?
Charles Schwab. Here we go.
It's on charlesschwab.com.
Yeah, it's log into Charles Schwab.
And then
It's
you
it's charlesschwab.com, and you go into stocks and trading.
okay. And
And let me see where you are.
okay, and that's the accounts. You say brokerage and trading.
Yes, it's brokerage and trading.
So then you click
And
on that.
hold on, go to accounts and products, and then I want you to go to Charles Schwab Trading powered by Ameritrade.
Okay. Trading by where I'm at.
Ameritrade is the second top one. And then what that would do is it shows you how you need to
Oh, right
how
here by Ameritrade. Okay.
yeah. And then when you get on there, it says the products for the range. So they teach you or they show you how to trade stocks and EFTs, trade with options, trade with your futures, and trade with your forex. So you're gonna scroll down to the middle of the page. Yeah, you got some scrolling to do. And then when you get down, it will start. There you go. Trading products. There
Okay.
you go.
Oh, okay. So you got the stocks, options, future, forex.
Yes.
Okay.
And those are all giving you the ability to trade stocks.
And it looked like
Now,
they want some platforms, huh?
yeah,
Is that best in class for tools and platforms, best in class education, best in class for customer service.
yeah, I did a lot of Charles Schwab trading in my heyday. So when I
So
was younger, I was an avid Charles Schwab person.
so either one of them that you use, Robinhood, Charles Schwab, or any of the others, you have to have an account. So you have to set up an account with them,
Yes.
and then after you set up account, then you can look for your Walmart code,
Yeah, then you can start trading.
and then you
There,
can
there,
start trading.
yeah, you don't have to do a whole lot to start trading. The biggest thing for people to understand is that it doesn't take a lot to trade. It's just that everything is live. So once you move your money, there's a there's a there's a fee that's associated with it. So it may be a $2 fee, it may be a 95 cents fee. It all depends on what program that you're using.
Okay. So is it better to hire like a company to do that for you, or is it better to learn how to do it yourself?
Whew, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think for some, it's going to. Yeah, I really think it's up to the person. Me, I wanted to know, so I think this Charles Schwab course. So Charles Schwab, the website you was just on, they do have a lot of tools to help you become more familiar with stocks and bonds.
Okay.
And that's for somebody who wanna learn how do I choose the best and what does the best look like. So So they do have tools for you once you get on there.
So you
So
just
when I
scroll
yeah
down,
when I did
find the
yeah
ones you want.
when I had a Charles Schwab account that was buying stocks, it was called Street Smart, and it gave you a wealth of information on a lot of stuff. Most of the stuff you I could care less for, but it was so much information that when I thought about something, it had details on. It gave me the last 12 months. It gave me the historical data, and that's where I learned a lot about uh, buying stocks at that time. It was one thing that I didn't like, and I didn't like losing a lot of money.
I don't think nobody like that.
That's the I say that's the one thing that I didn't like about it is that I lost a lot of money, but that money does come with a lot of education, and like I made trades that I wasn't supposed to make because the timing was bad, and then they was like, "Are you sure you want to make this trade?" I was like, "Yeah." They was like, "This is a live site, it's not a training site." I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead and make the trade." So, uh, and I remember when I first got it. When I first got it, I had fun, and then after a while, after a while of blowing enough of my money, I
Mhm.
started realizing that I didn't want to blow money. And I think that's some of the nuances of learning how. And when I tell people learning how, I'm not talking about I was just blowing like thousands of dollars. No, I was blowing like $5, $6, $8, 10, 12, $20.
Okay.
But to me, that's still blowing money because I would rather blow money and learn how to utilize the system correctly
Mhm.
with money that I can afford to lose versus me being on a live site. I'm taking my 401k or my 201k, my retirement fund, and throwing all that on the line and then trying to go from there.
So now this is the street smart that you was talking about, and
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's Charles Cloud right there.
that's like a quick like a cheat sheet for you. And I just went to Charles Schwab Street Smart, just like he said. I
Yeah.
googled it and then I clicked on it, and so what about like a guy like me? I got a lot of stuff on my plate, and I ain't really trying to you know uh, learn stocks and things. I'm right now. I'm on a timeline for books that I'm writing, and there's this year is going to be 6 books in 6 months, and
Yeah,
so that's pretty aggressive.
that
And
is
I'm launching a new um,
podcast.
podcast. Where we're going to be talking about rising and thriving in your marriage and some of the other things, and as well as I'm a pastor, so I got my hands is full there,
Yeah.
and I have a family, I got grandchildren, and so what about a guy like me? I ain't trying to I'm taking these classes now for the podcast, and I'm not trying to learn a lot. I just want to give somebody some money and say make me some money.
Okay. Well, you can do that too. Charles Schwab does have dedicated people that it's their job to make sure that your money is making the most money. You
Okay.
do have to sign. You got to sign over an agreement to allow them to manage your money without your consent. But that is very possible. There are other companies. I like Charles Schwab, so I'm a fan of them.
Hmm.
Uh, but you can. There's other entities out there. Almost every bank has an investment side. Almost every credit union has a investment side or has an investment side. And that investment side is just one that is not secured by the FDIC because investments are not secured by the FDIC. So you want to make sure that no matter what entity you utilize,
Hmm.
that entity is going to let you know upfront that it is not FDIC insured. And once it does that, there are a lot of companies out there that can do what you have asked it to do. And now I had such a good feeling with Charles Schwab, and even though I moved most of my money over into real estate, I still have dealings with Charles Schwab. as a company.
Okay. All right. And so he's leaning on Charles Schwab, even though they're not a sponsor, and
Oh
because
my goodness! Oh yeah, yeah. I don't.
that's one of his favorite. That's it. I would say probably his favorite one, but the other ones do pretty much the same thing, right? And
Yes, yes. So
whatever you're comfortable with. But even if you just give somebody a bunch of money and sign over rights for them to manage their money, manage your money, you still need to have an eye on it, right?
yeah, just because somebody is doing, just because somebody is controlling how your money is flowing. That's like if we had an employee, you wouldn't just let your employee work without knowing what they're doing. You
Mhm.
wouldn't have anybody just randomly rummaging through your house. If you tell somebody, "I need you to pick up the trash," you it behooves you to come back and check to see if the trash is being picked up. Part of being part of assigning your money is to make sure your money is doing what you have signed it to do. If I give a good nest egg to an investment banker, and I say, hey, whatever stocks you pick out the stocks. I just need to make sure it's making money. It behooves me to come back and look every 6 months to see if it's actually doing what I needed to do.
Mhm.
I may not check every day, but I am checking up to make sure the money that I assigned is doing what I have assigned it to do.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're not doing your money justice and you're not doing yourself justice.
And so in other words, you're not being a good steward.
Yeah, you're terrible stewardship.
Okay. Well, listen, we pray that that help you, those of you who are getting on the road to six figures. That's one stream of income that you can create, and it depends on where you invest your money at. It could be um, one that can pay high dividends for you.
Yeah.
But remember what we say: don't invest money that you can't afford to lose, and don't just put it somewhere, set it, and forget it. You want to monitor it and make sure that it's doing what they said it was going to do. You can learn to do it yourself. Street Smart has a app where they can take you and educate you on how to work the stock industry, or however you say their name. Or you could hire somebody from various firms, stock firms, that would do that for you. But you want to make sure that you begin down that road so that you can another stream of income to enhance your ability to reach your six figures. Now, when it comes to other things like you know uh, CDs and things of that, that's more on the saving side, right?
Yes.
So that's
So
we'll be talking about that next week, then, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
CDs. I mean, CDs are good. They're just not necessarily investments.
okay, okay. So we got about 25 minutes. So let's talk about setting financial milestones, because we talk about setting ourselves up for getting on the road to six figures. And I don't know about you, but when I'm on the road and I'm driving from here to Arkansas or here to Florida, which I haven't done in some years, and um, you know I like to come across some milestones, some signs that tell me that I'm getting close, or that I'm on the right track. So when it comes to being on the road to six figures, when it comes to setting financial milestones, how do we begin to set that up so that we can um, have that encouragement when we come up to these milestones? We can have our celebrations and keep on Cadillacing.
Now, this completely depends on the person. So, what I normally teach is you have your vision, and then from your vision, you set your milestones. Just recently, I was talking to an he's a business owner, and we was going over what his vision was and what he was doing currently versus what his vision is. His vision was to be an owner only, and currently he's working. He's doing 24-hour. He's doing at least 20 hours a week at the job working. But his goal or his vision is to be an owner who can help more people get inside home ownership. So after talking to him, we set up milestones. So a milestone is something that is out in the future, but it's a smart. It's a specific, uh, measurable. What's that? MASM. Smart, measurable, accurate. What's that? It's a R, and then it has a time. It's reasonable. There we go. It's smart, measurable, accurate, reasonable, and it has time in it. I'm probably messed up on one of them, but yes, that's a smart. But your financial milestones are things that you set up. So if your goal is to buy a hospital, well, before you buy a hospital, a milestone would be to make sure that you have buy-in from other hospitals that you can buy a hospital. Another milestone is making sure that you have enough. There we go. Smart, specific, measurable, attainable, uh, relevant, and time based. Yeah, there you go. Thanks. Because I was like, I knew I got it in my head. I'm like, I know how to write it down. I was like, I must have missed one.
Mhm.
But yes, so you're everyone out there. So if your milestone needs to hit all the SMART goals. When you write down your milestone is not a vision. Your milestone is specific, measurable, accountable, reasonable, and time-based items. So if you plan on starting a business or you plan on having, let's make sure this is very simple. If you plan on having enough money to send your kids to college, just that. I need to know how much money I need to have. When is the tuition due? So the tuition is due September the 1st. Cool. That means September the 1st is the time. Is it attainable? How much money do you plan on putting away? If you
Mhm.
say I'm gonna put away 1 penny a day, then it's not attainable. If you say I'm putting away $100 every week, is that attainable? Yes. Is that attainable? Is it gonna hit the goals? Maybe. And then by doing that, then you'll check back in August to see how far you are to hitting your goals. If to start the New Year's off, to start off the new school year, you need $10,000, and you started off with 5,000, and when you get to August, you're at $9,000. Well, guess what? You are well on your way of hitting that milestone of being at 10,000 for your child to go to college.
Mhm.
If you're if you're in January and you got to hit $20,000, and your idea is I'm gonna only spend $100 every week, well then that's not attainable to hit the end goal. So those are the things that we must do in order to make sure. So your milestones are goals that tell you if you're in line with where you're going.
Okay.
So if you're a car or if you're a farmer, you you know that at a certain time you got to have crops. At
Mhm.
a certain time you got to have a harvest. At a certain time you got to plant. So if it's winter and winter lasts all the way to May, you know that you're gonna have a late harvest, or you may not have a harvest this year because of just the time of planting, the growth, and then the reaping. Those seasons have to happen in order for you to have a harvest.
Mhm.
So if you have a late winter, that's why people who have a late winter and they're farmers, they often need the government or they ask for assistance just due to the process of time. The same is true with setting milestones. If you have a milestone that's supposed to be hitting in 90 days, but you don't hit your goals, then you either got to move the milestone back to make sure you can hit your goals, or you need to drop down your milestone from 4 to 3 to make sure that you can still hit your milestone, because that's the goal. The goal isn't for you to um, miss your milestones. The goal is for you to make or adjust your milestones, because the end goal is your vision,
Okay.
because that's where we need to be.
Okay. All right. No, that makes sense. That could be a lot for most people, but when we talk about the whole idea of, SMART goals, I would encourage you to look up the SMART goal, and because it helps you to understand that it has to be specific. It just can't be this, you know, big lofty goal. You gotta target that thing in. to specifically what it is you want to see happen, and it has to
Yeah.
be measurable. You have to be able to say, oh, I'm going to do this in 6 months. I'm going to be here or whatever it is, and then it's got to be attainable. You can't say I'm going to be six figures in 3 weeks, and you don't even have emergency fund. You
Yeah.
might want to start with the emergency fund, and then add on to that, and start working your way that way, because that wouldn't be attainable, to have six figures in 3 weeks, and you don't really have no, you ain't been down that road before. Then it has to be relevant, you know what I mean, from the standpoint that, um, you know, you're not just doing it, you know what I mean, but you are at a place where it's aligning with what you want to see happen, like what James was just talking about, because you don't want to be going off to the left and your vision is to your right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you're fighting against yourself. I wrote in a book, I don't know where I got it from. I wrote a vision book years ago, and in there started off, it was a story about a guy that's chased two rabbits, and I can't remember all of the language of it, but the whole idea was you can't chase two rabbits. One, if you know how a rabbit, rabbit be hopping and ducking and switching and going like that, and you try to chase two of them, one going this way and one going the other way. You run for 2 weeks towards that one, and then you turn around and try to run 2 weeks towards the other. Man, you would never get anywhere. You're fighting against yourself. So you have to have a vision, and then it's got to be time based. It's got to be time based. And so it's
Yeah.
so important that you get to a place where you understand that you're driving, you are in the driver's seat. And some of these things you would rather not do or know because it sounds like work, but it's nothing like having financial freedom. I think personally, it's more work when you're not financially free than it is when you're financially free. What you think about that, James?
Oh, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. Because when you can rely on yourself to have things in order. Now, I'm not talking about having or not having a job. I'm not talking about um, working for the man or trying. I'm talking about actually having enough money in your bank account that you are able to move around without money being the primary source of your or being the primary source of if you can or can't go somewhere.
Mhm.
When that becomes when you are able to move around without having money be the primary source, and I'm not talking about money in the sense of I gotta have a paycheck every single. No, I'm talking about I'm comfortable where I am, and I have enough money coming in to pay my bills. I have enough money coming in to take care of emergencies. It's not that I have a lifetime of wealth, and you will get there. But as of right now, you don't need a lifetime of wealth. You need to have enough money to come in to pay all your bills, to pay for all emergencies, to pay for anything unexpected, and then still have enough to live life and invest in your future. If you can accomplish all those things, trust me, you're doing well. You're doing exceptionally well. And that is what financial freedom is ultimately. Some people don't need $1 million. Some people can be passively. If you're passively bringing in $4,000 a month, passively, that means I'm not working. I don't have to fight with nobody. I don't got to argue. People can live off that because that's almost $50,000 a year, and that's 50,000 a year. 50,000 a year, tax free in some cases, and with some taxes in other cases. But that gives you the ability to not be in the hustle and bustle, not be running up and down a bunch of stairs, not having a job that you don't like, meeting people that you don't want to talk to. You have $48,000 coming into your hands that will create financial freedom because now you have more time to relax and to get your mind right. Because as fun as it is to be stressed out and to be worried about a lot of stuff,
Mhm.
it's a lot. You'll have a better livelihood if you're not stressed out, if you're not worried about where your next dollar is coming from, if everyone in your house can eat and be clothed, those things allow you to be a lot more stress free. So you can make 100,000 and be stress free and be ready to jump off a building, or you can make 70,000. You could be 100,000 stressful and be ready to jump off the building, or you can make less money at 70,000, but you're stress free. I can tell you which one I would choose because that's the one that allows you to have fun. That's the one where you can get off work and you be like, where you finna go? I'm finna go to Lake Geneva. Where you finna go? I'm finna go down to St. Louis. Where you finna go? I'm finna go down to Chicago and just taking a play. I got some comedians coming out to make. That's where you want to be. You want to be in a position that you can go and see something. Your favorite comedian may not be in Milwaukee. They may be in Indianapolis. Well, we're going to take a trip down to Indianapolis and go see my favorite comedian. Why? Because we have the funds to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? Some emergency came up. I have the funds to take care of that emergency because I'm financially free to take care of that emergency without it being a hindrance to my bills and
Hmm.
not being a hindrance to my kids.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the things that once you have them, then that's what you strive for. Because
Hmm.
if you're in the rat race, you stay in the rat race and you try to get all that you can. You try to get all you can, and you poison the rest, or it's like some little.
You
It's a
get all you can all you get, sit on the can and poison the rest.
yeah, but it's people who do that, and I think I was talking about that. Like it's a bunch of crabs in a barrel. You try to get all the money you can and pull people down at the same time.
Okay.
That's that's what that's what society is emulating for everyone to do.
Hmm.
But there's another solution. There's another one. What if everybody can be in their own bubble of financial success, their own bubble of financial stability? And by being in your own bubble, you can accomplish so much more because life is a lot more than money. It has freedoms and it has food and it has family and it has life. Those are the things in which need to take priority versus money.
And can I just say this for free? That isn't that the way that God intended for it to be? You know,
Yeah.
that's the way God intended for it to be. You know, and so I don't know where this whole idea came from that we're supposed to be poor. The poorer you are, the closer you are to God. That sounds like the devil to me.
Oh my goodness.
You struggling and that
No,
makes you more close to God. Well, that's
depending.
crazy. No, you want to be fighting. And can I say one other thing without getting too political? The way that things are going now in the political arena, you better have some money. Can you imagine all those people who just got, found out the same day they came in and told them all to get their stuff and leave? And, the federal workers that they
Yeah.
just came and shut them down, over 50,000 people. And you think about that, they got house notes, car notes, probably children in school and maybe
Yeah.
private school. They probably got some college payments or kids in college or whatever. And all of a sudden, somebody walk in and tell you, they shut it down, and you don't get no pay or nothing, and you just out there. And I'm saying that can happen to any one of us in different other types of circumstances, you know. And so it behooves us to become more wiser and smarter to set ourselves up so that we could survive if something happened, if something happened. You say that an emergency fund is how many months?
4 to 6 months.
So for 6 months, if all of a sudden you lost all your income, that you still will be all right for 4 to 6 months. That gives you
Yeah.
enough time to get back on your feet, without stressing out. But if you going paycheck to paycheck and something like that happens, and now you just out there, landlord, he ain't trying to hear it, is he, James? He ain't trying to hear it. He got bills too. He ain't trying to hear that.
Yeah.
So
We all got bills to pay. Yeah.
yeah, and ain't nobody trying to let you move back in with them and stuff, or stuff like that. And so it's important that we understand we have to be financially responsible, and we got to become more financially responsible, and our target has to become financial freedom. We want to be financially free, and it's not really hard. Discipline, I think, is the biggest thing. A lot of times we blame this stuff on the devil, but it's really discipline is, I think, our problem. If we'll be more disciplined, if we say no to the things, you know what I mean? If we get in the habit of enjoying watching our money build versus soon as some money in there, we just every commercial come on, we got to go buy something. That's a discipline issue. And I'm telling you that we're going into a time now where, we need to be financially free.
And we're going to talk more about being the financially savvy when it comes to savings and when it comes to effectively moving your money into high yielding savings accounts. We'll talk a lot more about that because I want people to have a good understanding of what it looks like. And
Yeah.
I actually did it. So, long story short, I started off on a 90-day challenge and I said, I want to make sure that I am showing what it looks like. So, next week, you're going to see a spreadsheet from me, and it's what $10 look like as it multiplies.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm telling everybody, it's not the big steps that change you. It's the small steps because you can't turn, or I can't tell you. Pastor Burns can't tell you. We can't make you turn and do a 180. If you never saved in your life, all we can do is advise that saving money is the best way for you. If you don't believe us, there's nothing there. But if you do believe us, and that's the key. If you do believe us and you don't know what you're doing or you don't know how to do it, just listen because we're gonna tell you exactly what to do. So savings and how to produce or how to get a more high yielding savings account. We'll talk way more in the coming week.
Yeah, so the next week we're gonna hit that next week, and that'll be a good starting point because James is gonna show you some real time what happens when you take baby steps, and that's real time. This is not fiction; it's real time,
Yeah.
and then you could begin to do it. But the big thing is going to be the takeaway of how powerful a baby step is. And so,
Yeah.
listen, join us next week as we talk about. Let me get back over here to my my syllabus. Uh, and again, if you don't have the 90-day challenge book, I'll see if we can put that in the link. Get the 90-day challenge book, and so challenge yourself so that when we release and start on the road to six figures, that you've been